Hello everyone, I'm Liz Brown Swanson, and coming up here next on RPV City Talk, we'll be joined with Councilman Steve Wolowich and the city's Finance and Information Technology Director, Dennis McLean. The topic of conversation is the McCarroll Canyon Storm Drain Project. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us. I'm Liz Brown Swanson. Welcome to RPV City Talk. Today we're going to talk to city leaders about an issue that impacts the entire community, and that is the city's ongoing efforts to make critical repairs to the city's storm drain system. Now, topping the list is the McCarroll Canyon Storm Drain Project. This project is vital to preventing future flooding like the disaster that occurred back in this community in 2005. And to talk about this project, joining me here in studio, I'm pleased to introduce City Council Member Steve Wolowich. Thanks for being here. And the city's Finance Information Technology Director, Dennis McLean.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a gentleman. Before we get started, I want to let our viewers know that we have a wonderful interview coming up with a key player in this, and that is, of course, Jim Bell, who is the city's Public Works Director. We're going to meet up with him out at McCarroll Canyon, and he's going to give us a great play-by-play that puts the pieces of this project together. So in the meantime, let's get started. We've got lots to talk about. Most importantly, back at your December meeting, the council voted unanimously to move the McCarroll Canyon Improvement Project forward, and I guess 8 years earlier than planned. That's huge. Very exciting for you.
Yes, actually, it was. I mean, there's a number of things that are involved with the McCarroll Canyon. The comments that I made during that meeting, and Jim Bell was able to inform me prior to the meeting. I went on the tour. I mean, you'll get a chance to see that on the interview. And it was the first time that we felt that we could actually take proactive steps. We were on offense. We were not necessarily back on our heels playing defense. And it was a nice thing to see that presentation that Jim and his department came up with. I mean, it took them a while to formulate it, but it was heartening to see that.
The project, I've heard around $5 million. You're in charge of finances for the city, Dennis. Talk about how this package is all coming together to finance it, especially since you're doing it 8 years earlier than the city thought.
That's right, and you know, when this program was first developed in 2003, the McCarroll Canyon project was indeed scheduled to be performed out in 2016, give or take. We needed to accumulate, $5 million over 3 or 4 years to do the project, and I mean, $3 to $4 million, $5 million of storm drain fee money. And after the winter storms of 2005, we realized that it was urgent to move this project forward. The council agreed, and we've used general fund monies, $5 million of general fund monies, and even in December, the city council decided to add another $850,000 of general fund reserves and made an adjustment on the Sunnyside Ridge project to reduce that project budget by $1.3 million to enable us to now do a $5 million project.
That was a huge adjustment in the Sunnyside Ridge project. How did that change, for example, that project? It's still going ahead as you want, but for a lot cheaper.
Well, it's one of the three backbone projects that we talk about. McCarroll Canyon, certainly, which Mother Nature reprioritized a lot of the work that we were doing. Sunnyside Ridge, and then Tarapaca. And each one is a story unto itself. Preceded, and we went to school, or had Mother Nature take us to school on San Ramon. So we were well familiar with the issues that preceded our current situation. But what was nice to see was the fact that Jim's department, given the time, was able to reassess the Sunnyside Ridge. We're not doing the work. It's just that the amount of work and the nature of it has been able to be re-engineered so that funds that were originally budgeted, we still have to do the work. Now we have to just do it on McCarroll Canyon.
And as we continue to talk about the funding for a minute, I want to go back to you, Dennis, because when this project came forward, I assumed that we just passed back in November the storm drain user fee. Of course, the council member, you were very supportive in getting that going and getting the community to support that again. So I thought perhaps the funds from that would be used, but they're not. How come that is?
Yeah, and when the program, again, was developed back in 2003, we intended to use the storm drain fee entirely for the McCarroll Canyon project. And of course, with, as I said before, with the urgency, it made sense for staff, our consultants, to work together and take a program to the city council, encouraged them to use general fund reserves, and the council decided to do so, to enable us to do this project now.
Right. Steve, I mentioned we're going to be hearing from Jim Bell, the Public Works Director, a little later on. But could you, for our viewers out there that aren't familiar even where McCarroll Canyon is, give us a little bit of a scene setter and describe a little bit of the history and why this is such a problem spot right now?
Well, and by the way, I should preface my remarks by saying that having been on the Finance Committee prior to being on the City Council, I've learned more about storm drains than I ever wanted to know. And the route coming down from McCarroll Canyon, it starts out as what's visible as a rather innocuous spot where it crosses PV Drive South. But it really starts at the top of the hill, right below Crest, and it comes through, there's a Southern California Edison site there, over PV Drive South, by St. Peter's by the Sea, and then there's some streets that move down to the bluffs, and then it exits out by the Bay Club. That almost sounds like the path that Little Red Riding Hood took. I think that this path was probably a little bit more treacherous than the one she had to put up with. But that's the segment of McCarroll Canyon, and that's why it literally is a backbone project.
And it was that neighborhood below Palos Verdes Drive South, around St. Peter's by the Sea, Sea Cove, that was severely impacted by that flooding. I think there were about 300 families that are in that area as well.
Yes, as a matter of fact, in February 2005, in bracing for the storms in advance, the then city manager and the director of public works started determining where in our hill, because our city is so large that we were concerned about problem areas. We saw firsthand, I got a call about 3:30 that morning. I ended up going out with Dean Allison. He said, if you really want to see what's happening. And then from that, we went and then picked up the then mayor, Larry Clark. We then later on reconvened a special urgency city council meeting. We ended up going down to see that neighborhood, and we watched the water damage over PV Drive South. St. Peter's by the Sea parking lot was flooded, and then we saw an entire neighborhood, several streets, where the water got into the lower levels of homes, and it really created quite a bit of problems for a lot of folks. It was interesting seeing the neighborhood pull together, but we had the fire department, county fire was out there pumping water out. The impact indeed was not lost on us, and that's really when we learned that issues like this are not to be taken lightly.
Right, and this is the perfect time, I think, to take a little break and share with our viewers out there. During the December meeting, which in fact the city voted this project forward, you had some very compelling testimony from prominent residents, including Pastor Clayton Cobb from St. Peter's by the Sea, whose home was damaged, and also Bill Webster with the Bay Club. They also were very impacted. So let's take a minute just to listen to what they had to say about why McCarroll Canyon improvements must be made now.